Welcome to my class of cloud computing. Today we will learn about resource management in cloud. Swiftly increasing demand of computational calculations in the process of business, transferring of files under certain protocols, and data centers forced to develop an emerging technology cater to the services for computational need, highly manageable and secure storage. To fulfill these technological desires, cloud computing is the best answer by introducing various sorts of service platform in high computational environment. Cloud computing is the most recent paradigm promising to turn around the vision of computing utilities into reality. The term cloud computing the term cloud computing is relatively new. There is no universal agreement on this definition. Even though the cloud computing provides many distinguished features, it still has certain sort of shortcomings amidst with comparatively high cost for both private and public cloud. It is the way of congregating it is the way of congregating masses of information and resources stored in a personal computer. Resource management in cloud environment is a hard problem due to the scale of modern data center, their interdependencies along with range of objectives of the different actor in a cloud ecosystem. Cloud computing is turning to be one of the most explosively expanding technologies in the computing industry in this era. It authorizes the users to transfer their data and computation to remote location with minimal impact on system performance. With the evolution of virtualization technology, cloud computing has been emerged to be distributed systematically or strategically on full basis. The idea of cloud computing has not only restored the field of distributed system but also fundamentally changed how business utilizes computing today. Resource management in cloud computing is in fact a typical problem which is due to the scale of modern data center, the variety of resource type and their interdependencies, unpredictability of load along with range of objectives of different actors in a cloud ecosystem. Cloud computing is a completely new IT technology and it is known as third revolution after personal computers and internet. We can also summarize that the enhancement and development of distributed databases, parallel computing, grid computing and distributed computing result in cloud computing. John McCarthy in the 1950s already envisioned that computing facilities will be provided to the general public like utility. In simple word, we can refer the cloud computing as a platform based on internet providing myriads of services on the basis of plug and play. National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST refers to include common key elements massively used in cloud computing. It is a model for enabling convenient on-demand networking access to shared pool of configurable computing resources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with the minimal management effort or service provider interaction. It refers to some key element which needs to be analyzing first. Typically, cloud computing provides a number of benefits which could not otherwise be realized, which includes scalability and quality of service. The cost effective cloud computing provides specialized environment and simplified interface. When we are concerning of cloud computing, we understand that resource management is the process of allocating computing storage, networking and resources to a set of applications, cloud service provider and cloud users. The cloud computing paradigm has developed and is shared between applications that may be accessed over internet. The objective is to bring forth an inclusive survey of recent researches into challenging genre of resource management in cloud computing, conveying upon the complexity of the problem, the state of the art, and outline the fundamental open challenges is described. There are various reasons for before going into the resource management, we must understand that what are the reasons that organizations are moving to cloud computing. There are various reasons for organization to move cloud computing enabled solution, as they are required to pay only on the basis of consumptions. In addition, organizations can easily meet the needs of rapidly changing market to ensure that they are always on the lending edge for their customers. Basically, cloud computing services are categorized into SaaS, PaaS and IaaS. Cloud services are available to user by any of the models depending on the requirement and procedure. These services are popular due to the fact that they can reduce the cost and complexity of operating computers and networks. Even though the cloud service provider have specialization in a particular area, can bring services that a single company might not be able to provide or offer to the users. There are four different types of cloud computing models, which are community cloud, which is a computing model, is a multi-tenant infrastructure, which is a collaborative effort in which the infrastructure is jointly shared and constructed by the several organizations. It also can be hosted by the third party to a community. This will provide the degree of economics to the organization. Public cloud, in this cloud computing model, service providers makes system applications along with storage service available to the users through internet and other resources, but the cloud service provider have full control on it. Amazon EC2 S3, Google App Engine, and Force.com are the best example of public cloud servers. This service may be free or offered on a pay per usage world. Similarly, there are private cloud also. This cloud computing model delivers the advantages similar to that of public cloud. The main difference is that where public clouds are providing services to the number of organization, a private cloud is dedicated only to a single organization. It may be managed by the organization or third party regardless whether it is located premise or off premise. It results in optimizing of resources concerning security issues including data privacy, considerable data transfer, cost and full control over the process critical activities. Hybrid cloud computing model is a blender of on-premises, private cloud and public cloud services. This integrated cloud service users both public and private organizations. Organizations opt to use this model in order to optimize the resources to enhance the core competencies by margining out peripheral business function. It is particularly valuable for dynamic or highly challengeable workloads. We consider the resource management as the process of allocating, computing, storage, network, and indirectly energy resources to a set of applications in the context that looks to jointly meet the performance objectives of the infrastructure providers, cloud users of the cloud interface, or they jointly meet the performance. The objective of the cloud users tend to focus on application performance. Conceptual framework provides a high level view of the functional component of cloud resource management system and all their interaction. Resource management is a core function of cloud computing that affects three aspects: performance, functionality, and cost. In this sense, cloud resource management requires complex policies and decisions and multi-objective optimizations. It is able to provide guaranteed service by reservation mechanism to meet users' demand. The several scheduling algorithms are employed for finding best match of combined resources. This field is classified into 8 functional area, or we can say that the resource management activities are as follows: global planning of virtualized resources, resource demand profiling, resource exercise estimation, resource pricing and profit maximization, local scheduling of cloud resources, application scaling and provisioning, workload management, cloud management system. Cloud computing is appeared as a business necessity, being animated by the idea of just using the infrastructure without managing it. Although initially this data was Although initializing this data is easier, there are various sort of issue just as number of servers become unaware. Cloud computing providers deliver common online business application which are accessed from server through web browser. Now, what is the scope of cloud computing resource management? Business applications hosted in the cloud are probably the most promising cloud service and the most interesting topic for computer science education because it can give business the option to pay as they go while providing the big impact benefit of the latest technology advancement. Resource management decision by the cloud service provider and cloud service users need accurate estimates of the condition of the physical layer, virtual resources which are required to deliver the applications hosted by which are required to deliver the application hosted by cloud. The fundamental elements of resource utilization examination provides slow estimation for compute, network storage, power resources. It also provides input into cloud monitoring and resource schedule sharing. This is the diagrammatic representation of cloud resource management. Under resource management, there are energy awareness, SLA aware, market oriented, load balanced, network lead aware, hybrid cloud, mobile cloud computing. These are all form of resource management. Typically speaking, a cloud is a position of cluster resources capable of growing and shrinking to accommodate the load changes. Also, cloud resources are capable of growing and shrinking to accommodate the load things. Also, cloud resources are controlled on three independent levels. Cluster level. The cluster level of power management is represented by Cluster Resource Manager, a software complex that manages resources and tasks in the cluster in order to maintain its efficiency. Next is node level. The node level power management is done by an operating system. So, an OS controls the high level state of equipment. For instance, to save energy to save energy, the OS can put a processor CPU into the sleep state or spin down disk. Hardware level, modern CPUs consist of many modules which may not be permanently involved in an operation. Therefore, unused modules can be switched off. This is done by a special circuit responsible for internal power management of the CPU. So, all management is done on a hardware device, on a hardware level without working any load or it is not possible for recommending such policies. Cloud control theory uses feedback to guarantee system stability and predict transient behavior, but it can only predict local behavior. Machine learning, a major advantage of machine learning technique is that they don't need a performance model of the system. We can apply the technique to consider saving automation or consider several autonomic systems. Utility based approaches requires a performance model and a mechanism to share resources. Issues in resource management. There are several issues in resource management: resource allocation, resource provisioning, resource adaptation, resource mapping, and resource sharpening. These are the several issues in resource management which need to be taken care of. A cloud computing infrastructure is a complex system with a large number of shared resources. These are subject to unpredictable requests and can be affected by external event beyond the control. Cloud resource management requires complex policies and decisions for multi-objective optimization. This is why planned ahead of how you are going to manage these resources with help ensure a smooth transition or waiting with the cloud. So this is an important aspect of resource management. Cloud computing is a new area of remote computing, internet based application, and so on. Cloud delivers computing as a utility as it delivers the cloud consumers on demand. It is a simple pay per use consumer provided service model. It contains large number of shared resources. So resource management is also the resource management is also from the customer service model. From the cloud provider's perspective, cloud resources must be allocated in a fair and efficient manner. Research survey is not available from the perspective of resource management as the paper is still in the review. Research survey not available. So this research paper provides a design sequential scope. Next is resource allocation. The allocation of pool of cloud resources, example CPU, memory, storage and network in IaaS context to a tenant of an independent group of users. So allocation, what we mean to or what it needs to understand is reservation of resources. This is about resource allocation. Second is resource provisioning. What is resource provisioning? When the pool of cloud resources have been allocated to a tenant, for example, the tenant cloud administrators under his or her disposal and example VM which contains of or which consists of certain CPU, memory, storage, network, etc. to the actual user of virtual management. Provisioning can be defined as activation of allocated resources. This is the concept of provisioning. This is the concept of provisioning. Now we come to the next point, which is resource adaptation. What is resource adaptation? It is the ability or capacity of the system to adjust the resources dynamically to fulfill the requirement of system. How the system's requirement is fulfilled? This is done dynamically. Cloud computing has been transformed to a model consisting of services that are centralized and delivered in different administrator or by different administrators. Cloud users are the high expectation that they are giving to a user, that they are given to a user management technology, and it is premises that be uniform nature or infrastructure control has been sent. Resource mapping. Resource mapping, how to map the resource? It is a comprehensive between resource required by the user and resource available with the provider. One of the most important technology is the use of virtualization. It is the way to gist the hardware and system resources from an operating system. In computing, virtualization means to certain various to certain various versions of the computing environment to see how the function work. One of the basic concept of virtualization technology gives employed in a cloud environment is resource consolidation and management, obtaining more than 70% of their information. So 70% of their information is obtained there. Next is resource scheduling. What is resource scheduling? A resource schedule is a timetable of events and resources. Shared resources are available at certain times and events are planned during these time. In other words, it is determining when an activity should not be raised. So computing is being transported to a model consisting of service that are commoditized and delivered in a manner similar to utilities such as water, electricity, gas and telephony. In such a model, user access services based on their requirement regardless of where the services are hosted. Several computing paradigms have promised to deliver the utility computing vision of computing utilities into reality. Perhaps the biggest it is the biggest test, but we have categorized 5 simple challenges. The significance to refer to what is the significance of resource management challenges that emerges from the development of cloud paradigm are achieving predictable performance for cloud hosted applications, achieving global management of cloud environment, clouds in mobile computing and cloud computing. So in the cloud, it is common to have various resources such as machine instances. They fail except for tightly managed platform as a service cloud providers. The burden of resource management is still in the hand of the user, is often provided with the limited one, and or it has not reached this limitation. So that is all for resource scheduling. Now we reach to a conclusion that a dynamic resource allocation method for cloud computing, which provides a mechanism for adding or deleting instance of resources on IaaS dynamically according to user's resource state and condition. The DAIaaS is a dynamic improvement in that convenience of IaaS users. This is the conclusion. Thank you for watching.